Hi there. Thank you for joining me. This is Kathy Crow at the Crow Cottage. Every week it's like, never done this before, sorry. It is beautiful outside today. Sunny, warm. Just have a little look if you can see. It is so nice out there. But it's terribly, terribly cold. I can't believe how cold it is. When I went out to work out this morning, I put my coat on because I knew it was cold, but boy, it sure felt cold. So no bike riding for today. To Tone Flora. Hi, Andy. It's nice to see you at the beginning. I usually miss you. So thank you for joining me. I sure appreciate it. It's nice to see you. It's cold here. How's it in Washington? I bet it's probably should be pretty good in the Tri-Cities now. I mean, this is the time of year it starts to get really nice there. Normally it's pretty nice here too, but boy, you wouldn't know it today. It is super, super cold. Okay, I'm trying to find, oh, you know what I did? Today you got 2 emails because I don't know why. I'm not really sure what happened. I think I probably put on, I probably got the wrong date to send my my newsletter. So you got Legendary Ride, which was supposed to go out next month, and you did also get the one that was supposed to go out today. So I'm glad that it got out. I wasn't really sure what happened. I went on to my my email server and oh, thank you, Andy. I finally can see what's going on here now. My computer's frozen. My thing's freezing up all the time. I hope it's not freezing up for you too. Oh, sheesh. My internet has been running really, really bad the last few days. So I hope things aren't going to just freeze up on you. If it does, just hang in there. It'll come back. It doesn't like to run 2 things at the same time. Oh, I know. Jeff is home too. So he's got the computer going on down there. You know, when you've got a bunch of people home and they're streaming stuff, you can't just have everything open at the same time. Okay, so we will just do the best we can. I can't tell him he can't be on the computer just because I'm doing my card thing. And so, you know what? It's just going to have to be at this way. He is definitely enjoying only working a couple days a week. And this week is spring break. And it's 1 o'clock apparently now. So anyway, with spring break on, he's probably not going to be working any day this week. But normally he's only working 1 or 2 days a week, sometimes 3, but only if it's a really, really good job he wants to take. And so he is going to be using the internet a lot when I am trying to also. So that is just going to happen, and I am going to live with it. Man, I look really red, like I still just worked out. And I didn't just work out. I've been back home for quite a while. So I don't know. I'm pretty warm. It was really cold, so I put on my long johns and this is a really thick sweater. So I'm probably gonna be sweating in here. The sun coming in and all. Anyhow, so Andy, tell me what your weather's like in Washington. I don't see that yet. Okay, I am going to do, like I said, 2 Tone Flora. Now, I have been looking to see who's been doing what. And because this one's been out, you know, this is one in the annual catalog, so it's been out for a long time now. And I was surprised to see that not a lot of people have used, I mean, a lot of cards have been posted with the big die. But I don't think I've seen, now I haven't been all over, I haven't seen a lot of videos where they've actually used this on camera. And there's a reason for that probably. And so we're going to have some fun with it. Okay, so I'll see you later, Andy. Have fun. Oh, your hair will be cute afterwards. Oh, I need a haircut. That makes me feel like I want one too. All right, because I haven't gotten one in a long time. I kind of tend to wait until the weather warms up, because if I get it too early in the spring and I'm out there riding my bike, man, my neck gets really cold. So I kind of get shaggy during the winter, and then in the summer, I can keep it a little tiny bit shorter and not feel so cold. So anyhow, we're going to just do a couple of cards. I wanted to, today I'm actually on top of things a little bit better than I sometimes am. So I have written down, let me put this down now so we can see what's going on. My camera didn't actually, I'm shocked, it didn't freak out and do all kinds of weird things like it normally does. All right, so what we're going to do, here, let me see if I can... Wow, this is like super stuck to my desk. What's the deal? What's going on under there, board? I've got all kinds of stuff stuck to it, I guess. All right. That actually looks pretty good. I have to have this up pretty high today because we're going to do the cutting out. And I want to talk to you about that as we get going. So I did actually write down my offer. Here's the offer code. You do not have to use the offer code. 54 degrees. Oh, that's nice. That's a lot warmer than we are. We were 24 when I got up this morning. So the high is probably going to be 40 today. So that's sounding nice, very nice to me, to be in the 50s, but it'll be back in the 80s probably. I mean, not 80s. I lie. It'll be in the high 60s to 70s probably in a couple of weeks. And actually, it's been really nice. It's been nice to not have my, if I have flowers or bulbs that come out in the Tri-Cities, I didn't even bother with spring stuff too much, other than even the bulbs, they were really disappointing. The heat would sometimes just come in and zap them so fast, and the wind would flatten them. And anyway, it is windy here at times, but we do not have the heat issue so much. So that's good for the flowers. Okay, back to my host code. So here you go. You use the host code if your party, if you buy anything that's $150 or more, you don't want to use the host code. Don't use it. $150 or more, you just stick with your own purchase for yourself with me, and I will send you, if you did $150 or more purchase, you would get cards and free embellishments. Today's offer, if you buy the 2 Tone Flora, here's the number for that. That's how much it costs, and I will send you free embellishments if that's all you get is this bundle. It's really cool. Not only do you get all the pieces that cut out the flowers, and you're going to really like the flowers when you see them stamped. They're very pretty. But the reason I got this stamp set was for this. Because, Stampin' Up! This comes with the dies. Occasionally, they come up with really pretty filigree kind of things in gold and white. Oh, good. Thank you, Andy, for letting me know that at least it's not freezing up on your end. I'm glad it's just me. Better to be me than you. But they don't always have these in the catalog. When you go down to the craft store to try to buy something that's intricate like this, it costs a fair amount if you buy very many. Or if you're like me and I want them all the time, I might decide I want to do some kind of a nice card or place settings or shadow box or whatever. This is actually really useful, like for place settings. It's really pretty. And I didn't want to be having to buy it all the time. Plus, if you want to do it from foil, I've got my copper foil out here. You can get copper foil from Stampin' Up! For just $5. Here's the number. You get 2 sheets. They're big 12 by 12. And you can just make a fabulous card just with cutting one of these out, lay it on your copper foil and a sentiment, and you are good to go. It's a very, very quick, fun, easy way to make, really, I think, some of the most elegant cards I've ever made. Now, the other thing I'm going to use today is the designer tags. I haven't seen as many people use this as I would expect. It's a wonderful little tag set. We've got another one, too. We've actually got the tags that come with this 2 Tone Flora is the Something Fancy dies. These are tags, and there's more of them, and they're layered, but they aren't stitched. So it has a couple of really cool things in it, and I've used it, but I actually really prefer these designer tags. It has this, oh man, so pretty little insert for your tag that just presses, cuts out. It's beautiful. And this little tag, has a little flower with it too. Now, I don't even remember what this came with. I don't even know that it came with anything. It might be just one of those things that's just in the catalog in the back with the dies, and it's not really marketed with a stamp set. So that might be one reason people aren't using it so much. But I like it. It has the hole punched already in it too. So if you're just doing twine, that makes it easy. So that number here, designer tags, that one's here, and it's $32. So anyhow, just for you to know, and if you want to cut those or purchase those, I would really appreciate it. Right now I'm trying to gain a few more purchases so that I can promote to one level higher than I am right now. So anybody who does make a purchase with me, you are so appreciated. I really do say thank you to you, especially. You will get an extra something if you can help me promote by the end of this month. All right, so what we're going to do, I am going to just take one white sheet because I want to show you what to do with this, this big giant die. Because I think one of the reasons people are hesitant to cut with it right on their live show. Hey, Freddie, it is so nice to see you. Well, good job. You are doing good. I'm glad to see you. Nice. That is a special treat for me. Anyway, I think it's because sometimes these don't cut out very good. When they're really big like this and heavily detailed, people are afraid to do it on a live because if it doesn't really cut out very good, then people aren't going to want to buy it. And these big ones, I'm just going to tell you right now, it doesn't matter whether they're detailed or not. The big ones, a lot of times, are problematic, okay? They sometimes do and sometimes don't cut out great. So because it's too iffy, I think a lot of people, oh, good, I'm glad you're doing good. I thought you would be, but you know, until it actually goes along nicely, you don't really know. There's no guarantee. All right, back to the die. So take your dryer sheet. I've run this one through a few times. Anytime you have problems with a die, do this right away. Now I've got a pretty clean plate here, so I'm gonna put my crummier one down. And we're gonna run this through a couple of times. Now one thing with this big die too, I do wanna say, if you're running it straight through this way, it's gonna have a little harder time. Try to put a corner going. Can't move it too much because it's pretty big. But if you have even a little bit of a corner going first, it's gonna roll through a lot better. Having said that though, if you're having a hard time getting a solid cut with it, then even after you've rolled it back and forth a few times, if that's happening, then just very carefully so it doesn't move after you've already cut it, then reposition it a slightly different way and roll it through again. Because, you know, this is not a perfect pressure all the way. Some parts of this bar under here, the roller, there's going to be a little more pressure than others. My plate being warped at all also means that there's more pressure applied to different parts of it. So all those things go into factoring how great an impression you get. So right now I'm not cutting. I am just rolling this through, and it's a big plate, so it's stiff and a little bit hard. So you're seeing me kind of struggle with it a little bit. It's another reason nobody's doing this online lives, because they don't want people to think, oh man, I can't do that, that's too hard. Well, normally it's not quite that hard. I don't know, I must have got it off, you know, it's not perfectly going through, and that's why, yeah, see, that wasn't why. Anyway, all right, so it won't cut much. It's pretty much just pressing. There shouldn't be anything really cut. It's just pressing that dryer sheet in there, and then that is going to keep that a little looser. All right, here we go. We're going to try one. I'm going to just do a white one because I've already cut out this polished pink one that we're going to use on a card because I wanted to do a couple. I knew this would go through pretty fast. So I'm going to turn it like this so we have our corner going through. Trying to keep it lined up pretty evenly because it is hard to trim these. After you've done it, if you're trying to trim the sides, you can, but you have to be careful not to trim away all the border because you're going to need it to glue it down onto your card, you know, top. And plus, because it's filigree, if you get too close to this, it's going to cut right in. And anyway, it's harder to do after the fact. So try to keep it fairly squared up when you run it through. And then if I put my machine, my plate's actually going in the middle, it shouldn't be as hard to go through. Now I am going to run it through. Wow, it's still a little stiff, but that actually is a good sign because that means I've got really good pressure. I am going to run this through to be sure. I'm going to do it 4 times. And you can see it's easier as I go because it's actually cutting. Actually, I'm going to do it 2 more times. 1 back and forth. It should be pretty good, don't you think? Well, we will find out because it's never a guarantee. I don't know. I'm going to get out my little thing. I've got my snips in case it doesn't work and I end up having to show you how to fix it without ruining it. Okay, I'm going to take this out and I'm kind of looking to see, did you really cut out good? There's usually you'll find out quick where the spots it's not cutting well. For me, in my die, it's always right here. This is the spot that if I didn't get a good cut, that's where it's gonna be. It looks pretty good. So I'm gonna do this first of all to get the extra pieces off. See how quick that cleans off? It's this has actually been a really good die for me. That's why I'm showing it, because I've liked it. It's worked really well. It's a heck of a lot better than if I was trying to cut this with my cutting machine. I can't do anything like this on a cutting machine because if I tried to peel this off of my sticky board for the cutting machine, I rough it up too much. Even if it doesn't actually tear, I can't ever get anything this detailed done on a cutting machine because it cuts it beautifully, yes. So when I peel it off, it peels. It roughs it up. It just roughs it up. Okay, and here with a die, it just doesn't do that. It's beautiful. Comes out slick and easy. I shouldn't even have to do anything. If I have to do anything, it's going to be just a little poke here and there for a couple of holes that maybe didn't pop out when I dragged it out. It's nice on the back. It's not roughed up at all. And it's not sticky like it might be if it came off of your sticky board. It's perfect, okay? Especially if you're doing foil. That's really important. It can't be sticky if you're doing foil. Now with this pink one, let me show you my polished pink one. When I did this one this morning, I had trouble in the spot I showed you. And you can see how I broke that nail, sorry. This is all roughed up here, you know, just like right there, because that was the spot that didn't come out well. But because I've been taking care of my plate, it actually isn't too bad. I see it's a little roughed up right there. And if I was going to send this to somebody who's got eagle eyes, then I'd probably just do another one. But for me, this one worked out well enough. It's good enough. Okay, so that is that. It is a beautiful background and so nice if you want something that is super easy to do for a beginner or for somebody who wants something really elegant but simple. They don't want to put a whole bunch of layers. Once in a while we have background plates that aren't flowers, and ones that aren't flowers would be good for guys. Now some guys probably don't mind flowers, and some probably do. So anyway, all right, now we can get going on some card making. All right, let me get my plate back over there. Ah, oh boy, that actually cut out pretty well. It is a little bit of a workout when you're running those big ones through. It's like, whew, if I do too many of those. You do not want to do a card class with those. I think I did that one year, the first year I ever did this, and realized, no, you do not want to do a card class with this. It just is too much cutting. It's going to wear out your machine really fast. Your plate's going to get dull, and then, yeah, it's a bad idea. All right, but what you can do with this, okay, now here's another thing you can do. Once you've got this all cut out, you can sponge really pretty colors all over this if you want different colors. You can color it. My recommendation would be to not color it. Okay, so if you take your piece of cardstock that you want, if you're going to sponge it, you might as well sponge something behind as well. Okay, and I'm going to stick with one color because, do I have some tape in here? Let me see if I do. I think I do. If you do one color, it's just going to be a lot easier to work with. If you want a whole bunch of colors, I did that with a card, and you can see it on Pinterest if you want. But when I was doing a whole bunch of colors, oh brother, is that the deck people? I hope not. I called these deck people like 2 months ago, because when they did our deck, they did a beautiful job, but a couple of the things popped, the rail tops were loose. They didn't pop off, but I heard them snapping and popping over the heat of the summer, and well, actually it was the heat of the fall, because I think we just got this deck done in the fall. So yeah, sure enough. Oh, sheesh, hold on. Jeff, the deck guy is here. Can you do it for me? Thank you. Make sure he finds every one, because there's a few that are loose, and one of the finial tops actually popped off once. Thank you. All right, Jeff's got it. Fabulous. Okay, he'll probably do a better job with Jeff attending to him anyway, because I couldn't believe they were loose, and then they wouldn't come back and fix it. I called them a couple of times. They never called back. Emailed them. Finally, they called, but like this is 2 months after I've originally started calling. Maybe even 3 months. Sheesh. Okay, so I should probably have an edge here so I can get more of a... I might have to cut another piece. I need a piece bigger than this, so I'm fastening both of them down, right? Okay, so let me grab a bigger piece of paper. I don't want it to be too terribly big. Let me cut this. So I hope you have a happy St. Patrick's Day. So apparently, I don't know what I was thinking when I sent out my emails. My legendary ride was supposed to go out like right after Easter. And you got 2 of them. That worked out well for you. Okay, here we go. We'll stick this on here, and now I can put my little pieces of tape. Now I don't really want it to do too much, because I'm gonna have to remove that tape as we go, because I want to sponge all around it. Oh, you know what I need to do though before I even do that? I need to make sure it's lined up, because otherwise I'm gonna have trimming issues. So let's do that. Let's square it up. Okay. I just need little pieces here, so I'm not going to get too carried away. And this is just really pretty, and if somebody doesn't have a whole lot of cardstock and colors and all, again, this is a really good way for people to manage that problem. Okay, we're already going to do a polished pink, so I'm going to want a different color. That didn't hold. There we go. Let's do something really bright and nice. How about some pale papaya. I really like pale papaya. It's really pretty, and I haven't used that with this. So I don't really know what it's going to look like. So let's have a gander. So take any sponge will do. I'm going to do a big one because I'm only doing one color. If I was going to do little individual ones, I'd use our little thumb, little dots, and just dot it around. But it is going to get on, you know, the other ones, and so I did do that, but I'm not recommending it. It's a little harder to do. Now this is going to buckle up and get messed up if you don't kind of hold it a little bit. So I'm just going to go in any direction. It doesn't really matter what direction you do, but you're going to want to have pretty good coverage. And a brayer does not work. Okay, so if you don't know what a brayer is one of these hard roll things. It's hard. It's not a sponge. Our sponge actually works really well with this. You can use the sponge, and that works really well. I just happen to prefer this rather than the roller because I'm going to want a little bit heavier ink in some spots and lighter in others, and that's harder to do when you're just rolling. You can do it, but it's just a little harder to do. All right, so let's have a little peek. Looking good. Okay, so as long as you're not trying to get under it, it should just sponge up fine. There shouldn't be any major issues. And now I'm going to try to move along a little faster here so that we can get done. I also can move a little faster because down here, the pieces that are held together are bigger. Up here, it's a little bit finer, a little more open, and those will flip up and, you know, and I'll accidentally get ink under them if I get too carried away up top where it's a little looser. But down here, these pieces are all stuck together pretty good, so they're not going to be moving. You have to be a lot more careful with ones that have a lot more voided, empty space in between. This one's a really nice one to do this with because it isn't like that. And, you know, our masking, have you got, a silver intricate cutting plate? Oh, you're talking about this one, Freddie? You need this one. This one's a really pretty one. And are you talking about the cutting plate that actually is like one of these plates, but it's the metal one? 'Cause, I think I've got that. Let me grab it really quick. And I have used it. Let me show you what I have. Let's see. Now, Stampin' Up! Discontinued their metallic plate. I loved this one. It worked really well with all of these, and they discontinued it because people complained since it was a consumable. It was not like, it was more like our plastic plates, you know, consumable, and it cost a little more, and so people complained that they were going to have to replace them fairly often. I also have this. This came with one of our cutting plate bundles at some point, but it's just like the blue one. I think it's the same thickness. This one is called a precision base plate. We used to sell this one. I don't know if we still do. We might. It is metal, but it's not. I don't think this one is magnetic. Let me look here. It seems like it feels like it's metal. It should be metallic, or you know. But it's not. It's not magnetic. You think it is, and it's not. It's supposed to be really good, though, for cutting these metal dies that are intricate. I haven't noticed a significant difference in doing them compared to just running it through several times. And because I ended up having, even with that, you usually have to roll things through a few times to get them to cut good if they're this big and this much detail. I wish they would come up with one of these dies. that would be detailed like this, that would be for our sea sets, like with the coral and the, you know, the seaweed kind of stuff. Wouldn't that be good? I wish they would do that because, ooh, I think those would be really useful for so many different sets. And man, can you imagine using that behind our diorama dies? Wouldn't that be pretty? Okay, so I'm using this so I can get darker on some of the flowers, lighter on like the leaves, just, you know, just to make it a little bit different. I'm going to peel this off, my tape, and then sponge there. It's going to look a little different because I did that, but it's not significantly. And it's the edge anyway. That might end up getting, you know, cut off when I actually apply this to my card base. So it's not like a big deal. I want to go out there to the deck so bad and make sure they're getting every single one of these, which I'm stopping myself because, you know, it's not that big a deal. Jeff is the one that really was disgusted more even than I was about it. And so I'm glad he's the one dealing with it. Because I was thinking, you know, I know it's annoying, but the fact is, these are probably going to pop up. And okay, there we go. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? And it's flat and dry. I'm not going to have to wait for this to dry. It's perfectly dry right now. It is flat. Now, flat is nice when you're layering a ton of stuff on things, you know. The only thing that would be really cool to do, and I haven't done it yet, but I think if you did this and sponged it on that velvet paper, and then that velvet paper should be down here, it would be fuzzy and colored. I haven't done that yet. So Freddie, we're doing our team meeting tomorrow and we're doing masking. So maybe I'll try it with our velvet paper, a little piece of it, and we'll see what happens. Because I'm really curious to see what happens when I do that. Okay, so now that is done. Isn't that cool? I really like that. It's very pretty. Yeah, you're right, Freddie. With directions. Jeff would not be happy to hear about that. Hopefully he doesn't even see that comment because, you know, he would say the same thing about me, and I suppose I could take it, but I don't know if I can take it. It just depends on the day. Some days I can take truth, and some days I can't. It's like I already knew that about myself, and the fact that you noticed it and commented on it really annoys me. Now, I am going to check this size and see. This is actually going out to almost 4.5. So obviously I don't want my card to be that big. I want it to be 4 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this way down here. Now this piece is going to be one solid piece. So I can go ahead and trim it way down. It's not going to, I'm not having to glue, you know, little tiny border. So it's not that big a deal. It can be trimmed down pretty narrow. And then I'll be able to have a really nice border, whatever cardstock color I want on that. Now, did you see by having it lined up, I can just thrust this up against my cutting top and not worry about whether it's crooked or not. If I've the hard way realized that if I don't square this up when I'm about to sponge all over the place, I'm going to have a really hard time getting it all, the card itself, when I'm done, all squared up. So if you have it squared up at the beginning, that makes the putting it together again at the end much, much easier. Like I said, you don't even want to know how many times I have taught myself that lesson the hard way and still not listen to myself. Okay, so now what do you think? Gold's not going to do it. It's too pretty to have gold, and I want something that's going to make this stand out. I'm going to get my pale papaya, and we're going to compare the color and see if that's going to be strong enough, because I'm not sure that it's going to be. I might actually have to have like Calypso Coral. I'm going to grab a piece of Calypso Coral out also, and then we'll see, because that pale papaya is really pretty in real life, but on the camera it really gets washed out. So we're gonna look here and see. See, that is very subtle and pretty. Now I do like that, and I'm not gonna like this. Okay, so we're putting Calypso Coral away. I am not using you. We are gonna use pale papaya. Now we can go ahead and just cut this down straight down the middle like this, 4 1/4, and we'll just use this whole piece. Oh no, I won't. I forgot. I'm kind of running out of my pale papaya, so I'm gonna have to put this on a white card base. I don't want to use up the whole sheet of pale papaya. We'll just use the front. Did I get enough of a border on the edge? I didn't, so I'm gonna cut some of this off on the bottom. And let's cut this part off too, so at least it matches. If I'm gonna have a white border on the top, it has to be one on the bottom, but if not, okay, there we go, that's better. Okay, so that is gonna work out really nice. I can, if I want to have that edge a little darker, I can just use my handy dandy brush. Now one thing I don't know if it, hi Sylvia, it's nice to see you. Ah, Freddie, yes, I know, I understand completely. It's like, wow. Yeah. Jeff and I have a very good relationship in that neither one of us hold back at all. So we know right where we all stand all the time. That can be painful at times, you know. It's not always easy, but it is easier in the long run. But some days both of us are clearly biting our tongue. We went to a place called Red Oak 2. Now, you are going to see pictures of this on my blog, blog coming up here, hopefully not too long. I've been a little busy, but with actually going and doing this sort of thing. But okay, back to this really quick before I continue with that. Just even a little bit of extra color for this cardstock is going to just make that pop out a little bit more. I could use Mango Melody and get almost the same, but not quite. Mango Melody would be just too yellowy. And some of our cardstocks match the inks better than others. Pale papaya is so pale. This is one that I have found at times I just need to beef it up a little bit with my ink pad to get it to just to be what I want it to be, sort of like the army. Be all that you can be, paper, and don't be quite so pale. You're just a little too pale on the edges. And you know, even if I was gonna, I've been sponging some of these things. Some are so strong, like this pink one. Oh my goodness, look at the pink. That actually is really pretty on pale papaya. I think I'll put it on that. That's gonna be nice. You want it to be pale under that. This color is so super strong that you want something a little lighter under that. So let's check that out and see. See? Ah, that looks pretty good. But if you want some depth, add that ink, and it's really going to add just a tiny bit of depth to the whole thing. I think. Let's see. I think it is. You might not really see it very well on camera here, but I think in real life it's going to look pretty good. I'll make sure I get plenty around the edges. Okay. And then, but just some little splotches in the middle. I don't want to stamp it because I don't want anything, you know, I don't want lines. And even our textured stamp's going to be a little too strong. Just a little bit of sponging. I think that's going to just add just a little bit of color depth, that like our oh, like that Desert Details DSP, or even the, ooh, that Hello Irresistible paper. It's got a lot of paper. It's kind of like that color, and that would be really cool. Okay, so we've got, this one's going to go with that one. This one's going to go with this one. I did want to use my foil, but I'm not going to want that with this. I was going to use my foil with this. You know what? I'm just not going to use foil today. But I was going to, because I kind of wanted to use the foil with my designer tags. It looks really good with the designer tags, but I'm not in the mood for that color combination. Let's see. Let's try with Mango Melody. Let's look at something possibly. Let's go with something a bit green. But it's going to have to be something pretty bright. I don't know, Parakeet Party, you're pretty bright. I don't know if I can handle you, but we'll give it a go. I think that Parakeet Party, you're just not going to work. We're going to go with Pear Pizzazz. We haven't had Pear Pizzazz out in a long time. Yeah. That's much nicer. Okay. All right, Pear Pizzazz. Anyway, so Red Oak 2 is kind of a faux ghost town, but sort of not. It's, oh, I just trimmed that without really looking here. I want my edges to be big enough that I can put my glue on it and have it really adhere. So this is going to be an oversized card because I want to have a nice border. And it doesn't have to be huge, but it has to be big enough that I can get this on here without too much trouble. There's a little edge I could trim off. I don't want to trim off a lot. Maybe just a tiny, tiny bit. Now hold your tray down really good so it doesn't shift when you cut, when you've got just a tiny bit like that. You want to hold it down really good. And I think if I do this, I hear him. He must be done. I sure hope he got everything. I hear them leaving out here since the entry is like right next to this room. Okay, so you want your border to be about the same. Let's see what we ended up with dimension-wise. So this is almost 4 inches, just a little bit more. That's still pretty big. We're going to cut here, just a bit off. Okay, there we go. Now we're gonna lay this on here and see. Yeah, see, I need, that was 5.5, and so I've still got to upsize this card. All right, so what I do is I'm going to trim it before I glue it, but I'm just gonna lay it in here to see where I want to trim that. I'm not really thinking in dimensions. I'm thinking more in visual, where I want this placed on here. For me, a lot of times I'm going to have more success working that way just because my math is so iffy. All right, so now we're going to leave it at that. Oh, so pretty. I love this. It's so bright and nice. It's so easy to do, man. Look at that. Now this one, I'm going to have to trim you too. All right, let's go for it. So anyhow, this guy grew up in a city here in Missouri called Red Oak. Little tiny town. And he had very fond memories. And when he came back years later after, I don't know, I think he might have been in the military. He was probably all over the place. And the town was just like nothing, nothing was left. Because what happened when Route 66, Jeff corrects me every time I say it that way. Route 66 came through and took out all the highways, all the little towns that were on all these little highways. That story is the same in probably every state that Route 66 goes through. Anyway, so the town dried up when that happened. And he wanted to rebuild it, and so he did. There was some land, like, I don't know, probably a half hour from the original Red Oak city, and it was like right outside of Carthage, Missouri. Carthage is a really cool place. We stopped there to get things from the little antique store that's there, because they have really good things on good deals on outdoor stuff. Okay, now take your glue. You can put, you know, your adhesive on the back and run it through, but as much trouble as I have running this through without adhesive, I am not going to even bother putting adhesive on the back. Glue is fine. You can get other unnameable glue that might make this easier, because I'm going to have to work pretty quick, and I'm going to have to shut up so that I can do this. I have to put the glue on, get it down quickly, and hopefully straight. And that's the trick, is to get it on there straight. So anyhow, so just little dabs here and there where you can stick it on. It's going to, you know, come out about onto the top a tiny bit, and you're just going to have a little white rag ready. I mean, a little wet rag, barely damp, to try to dab some of that excess glue off the top that's going to come through when you put it down, because it is going to. I mean, there's no way you can do this without getting glue on yourself and on the card, and you really don't want a sticky card. So, okay, so just putting some glue on there, and you can even see some of it. All right, now we're going to try. Pretty successful. And then I'm going to take my little wipe